There's an everything endgame that's happening right now. Endgame in the stock market, especially for you guys that are short. Endgame in potentially even gold right now, where there might be something where it's ending right now, but also the end game in the cryptocurrencies as well. So there's a lot of what's called end games coming up right now, and I believe there's a lot of things that are shifting. I want to talk to you about why that's important and what we can actually do about it, and how I'm actually trading and positioning myself to benefit from what I believe is going to be one of the craziest moves we've seen in a long time. So traders, make sure you grab access to my free trading book that I'm giving away. You can see on the screen there right now. And also, I'm about to close down access to my 1% club, and you can get access, you can apply for that, link in the description there. Now, let's actually do this here. Let's actually go to this here. So I want to talk about, firstly, I want to talk about the actual stock market itself. So the overall stock market, what we're seeing right now today across the board, and if we do this here, all right, let's bring this up to here. So let's actually start off with the good old, you'll start with the S&P 500, a bit of a down day today. But what this is here, and I talked about end game in this stock market. Now, what does it mean from here, right? The end game for the stock market is, I believe we're getting towards the end of this phase that we've been in, which is a nothing phase. As you can see, if I bring up my charts, in fact, let me just bring on to here, right? And I bring this on to here. What this is this is what's called basically a time phase or a nothing phase. And typically this happens, right? We go through these, the market is like an energy source. Okay, so meaning if we're going up through here, we've been using a lot of energy to push the market up. Then eventually the market gets too tired and we start to go through this what's called energy building phase. When the market is volatile and it's going sideways, there's not really any true direction in the markets, right? So it's called energy using, which is the market using energy to push the market either up or down. And then after a while, the market gets tired, and then we need to what? We need to refuel for a while before it gets ready to go again. So if we look at this here, and if I show you an example on the weekly chart with gold, because this is a really beautiful example about here, you can see here with gold is, and this is why it's so important to understand what type of phase we're in. Because you can see here, right, we had this moving up from here as well too, up through there. So these strong moves in the direction is what's called energy using phase, right? Because for the market to keep going up, there's a lot of buying, a lot of using energy. And then eventually, as you can see what happens here, eventually after a period of time, even very big strong bull markets, we go through what's called these energy using phases. Now, if I showed you this from an actual daily chart perspective here, it actually looks something like this here. Right, we can see here, let me just open this right up a bit more so you can see here. So what that looks like on the daily chart is we'll go up for a few months, but then we need now a couple of months with just sideways movement to build the energy to go for another move. We go up, another couple of months to build the energy, go up. This one here was about 4 months, go up, and now we're in what? Now we're in one of those energy building phases from here. Now, just a quick double tap on the gold. Why I said end game with gold is because I don't believe gold is getting ready to have another really big move to the upside, not just yet. I think we need a little bit more time to build the energy first. As you can see here, this one here is about 3 months, 3 months. This one here is about 4 months. And right now, I think roughly right now where we are on this daily chart, we've only been here for, what's that, just 1.5 months. So I believe we may need maybe another month worth of, if we're looking at the way these markets work. So the end game situation for gold is those who think gold could be getting ready for another really big move to the upside right now. Typically we get 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. This one here was 4 months. And we've only just been here for a month and a half. I believe we need just a little bit more time. And if you see this here, typically when we go through these phases, meaning these what's called energy building phases, or what's called time phases, I learned this from WD again. Typically when we do go through this level here, when we do, we go up and we pull back to the 24 moving average on my weekly chart. Up and a pullback to the 24, up and a pullback to the 24, up and a pullback to the 24, as you can see. So we may be getting ready for a couple months. We may be getting ready for that there, and then another one there. If it's going to repeat the same cycle, then we're probably not going to be doing much out of gold for the rest of this year here. Make sense? So one thing I really wanted to sort of, bring you down on these different phases, what the energy using phase, because that's what the S&P 500 has been doing right now. Right? Let me bring on a chart here, and as you can see, the chart has been creating what's called an energy building phase and not a trend reversal. So we've had this market have a really big move to the upside that's been buying up. Now we've done roughly about 2 months worth of time going here. We're now building energy, but because we're not actually breaking down, this is building energy for another really big move to the upside. So the end game for the S&P are for those who are short, because I believe the end game for this phase, the energy using phase and the energy building phase, they go hand in hand. And because I believe we're getting very, very close to be completing this energy building phase, when we start to release that energy and we go for another move, it's likely to be in the direction of where the trend is. So there's a big move up, trend is up, sideways, energy building, and we're likely to spend another, now after all this 2 or so months of sideways movement, we're now building that energy in this marketplace to go for another move. And you see this here time, and you saw this is what happened with gold, right? Time and time and time and time again. So this is the S&P 500 here. Also, when we look at things like even like the Russell, right? The Russell is really starting to gain a lot of strength from here. We've already broken out of this channel here. So check this out. So typically what happens is the market goes through these different cycles and different phases, right? So we can see here, typically after the market does nothing for about 3 years, meaning this is pretty much nothing from here. When we do start to break out, we start to trend, right? So market comes up, makes a higher high, higher low. And as you know, that is now an upward trend, right? Higher lows and higher highs on an upward trend. So after this whole, what is that from there, right? After basically over 4 years of basically be doing nothing, for almost 5 years of doing nothing on Russell, and now we're just starting to break out. This has given us a warning sign that now after all this time, looks like we're getting ready to evacuate the building, because as you can see through here, and now this has given us a warning sign that now because we've done this and we're also bouncing off this level of resistance back here, this is showing you that the Russell is getting ready for some serious movement to the upside. A little bit of a short-term correction, yes, but here, there, little pullback up, and then a breakout, and then a big move to the upside from there as well too. This is the Dow Jones, same thing here, very strong trend. And the big thing here about the Dow Jones is if the market has been making these significant high lows, we're still in a very big strong upward trend here from the Dow Jones here. And on top of all that, if I bring on my trend line, look what's happened here. This here is now after we broke out of doing nothing for about 1 year. Major resistance came down. Now we're holding here. We're now likely to move to the upside quite nicely from there. So real strong movement from there, guys. Real strong movement. Now, what typically happens here, I want to teach you something here for a minute, okay? Why I believe there's an end game coming in this. Now, this end game is in the cryptocurrencies. And I believe we're getting ready for the end game, meaning the end game for the sellers. And I believe we're going to start to begin to see some buying activity soon. And the reason why is this. Let me show you this here. So I'm going to bring up, say, this chart here. Actually, you know what? Let's go to this one here, okay? And I'm going to focus more on my weekly charts here, okay? My weekly charts. And we use this for any market out there. But if you want to know if something's gone too far or it's too far stretched, meaning we've done too much and we're probably going to get at least a movement in, either up or down. And look at this here. If you bring on, say, a 24 moving average, look at this. This is a 24 moving average. This 24 moving average on this weekly chart, and this happens for all weekly charts, by the way, what happens is that if we get too far above or below it, we've now done too much price, we've now done too much more, and we now need to come back to equilibrium. And as you can see here, right, every single time, even in these big vertical spikes, we eventually come back to the moving average. Too far away, towards the moving average. See that from there? So we go through these different phases where the market is here. So right now, we are right here. Typically in the past, we haven't gotten too far away. Even from here, we got down to there. So it's not people like, some people say, yeah, but John, it can keep going further. I'm not calling bottom right now today. But what I'm saying is it gives you a gauge and a guide that we have done a lot of price on the downside, and very soon, we don't know when. I'm not saying this is the bottom here definitely, because no one knows that, right? What I am saying is even if we did get a little bit more downside, we're getting towards the very last little bit because we're too far away. And typically what happens, as you can see, that typically what happens is if we get too far away from it, we may even come down to here, bounce, and then come back up, and then get the moving average to come back up through there. Right, so you can see it through here, look down, back up, and so on and so forth. So that's what you can see from there. That's obviously the Bitcoin chart. And this also goes for Ethereum as well too. Right? Whether we're in a strong move, if the market gets too far away from the actual, this is my 24 moving average, you know it's done a lot of price and we're very overextended, and there could be some sort of a snapback to the moving average, whether it's up or down. Right? So you can see here we got too far away and we snap back to the moving average. Too far away, snap back, even on the downside, down to the moving average. We've got down, 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 and we eventually get what? We eventually get this snap back to the moving average. So right now, we don't know what's going to come out of Ethereum and Bitcoin from here, but on a short-term level basis, I'm actually seeing a nice strong rally coming out of these markets, because once we start to get, we're going to get at least a bit of a relief rally, and then we can start to see what's going on around there. So the end game for the stock market is that it's going to be the end of this building phase before the next energy using phase, and that's probably going to be to the upside. We're going to see that really big move to the upside from there. The end game for gold is that we're probably not. There's a lot of people out there that think gold's getting ready for another really big move to the upside, and just by going based off this history, that we normally get to the moving average first, near the moving average, near the moving average, right near we get at least near the moving average. So we're probably not going to get there. We need probably another month of sideways movement before we go for another really big move to the upside. So, and then the last end game is for the cryptocurrencies, and that means end of this down leg. And we've got a very sort of a strong high probability now that we're sort of coming down to here. There's a high probability we're about to see some nice movements, and we're probably going to see, even if we came down to here, probably going to start to see at least a nice little rally out of the markets here. So really, 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 really strong from there, guys. Really strong movements from here. Just don't be sort of shaken out. There's a lot of volatility that's happening right now, guys, across these markets here. And it's important not to be shaken out at these markets. Speak to you soon, guys.